Hello everyone, this is Pastor Chris Johnson. I'm the Associate Pastor here at Zion Lutheran Church in Wausau, Wisconsin. And today I have the word in the middle of the week for you. And to carry our theme for the summer, we're looking at the Song of Solomon. And this week we're looking at chapter 3 in the Song of Solomon. And if you missed Matins service this morning here in Wausau, I encourage you to come to Vespers this evening where Vicar Pinzel will be preaching on this text from chapter 3 of the Song of Solomon. So without further ado, let me go ahead and read this passage for you. On my bed by night I sought him whom my soul loves. I sought him, but found him not. I will rise now and go about the city, in the streets and in the squares. I will seek him whom my soul loves. I sought him, but found him not. The watchmen found me as they went about in the city. Have you seen him whom my soul loves? Scarcely had I passed them when I found him whom my soul loves. I held him and would not let him go until I had brought him into my mother's house and into the chamber of her who conceived me. I adjure you, O daughters of Jerusalem, by the gazelles or the does of the field, that you not stir up or awaken love until it pleases. What is that coming up from the wilderness like columns of smoke, perfumed with myrrh and frankincense, with all the fragrant powders of a merchant? Behold, it is the litter of Solomon. Around it are 60 mighty men, some of the mighty men of Israel, all of them wearing swords and expert in war, each with his sword at his thigh against terror by night. King Solomon made himself a carriage from the wood of Lebanon. He made its posts of silver, its back of gold, its seat of purple. Its interior was inlaid with love by the daughters of Jerusalem. Go out, O daughters of Zion, and look upon King Solomon with the crown with which his mother crowned him on the day of his wedding, on the day of the gladness of his heart. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. There's two distinct parts here in chapter 3. One is this vision that the bride has, the Shulamite woman, the fiancé who has this vision, this dream of her beloved spouse that she longs for and can't be without, and she has this dream, and it just sends her off on a tangent. She sees him in the dream. She wants to see him in her visions, in her dreams at night, but she can't, so she kind of loses it and goes off and does some kind of crazy things. And we have a word for this. We call this love sickness, where people do just bizarre things because they are in love, because they love someone, and they go to the nth degree to prove and show that they are in love with them. And so, but there's a fine line, right, between the passionate love we can have for someone and an obsession. I don't think the Song of Solomon is advocating for obsession, but certainly advocating for passionate love, longing for the person for whom my soul loves. There's something very beautiful and powerful about that we will do whatever it takes to be with the one we love. But also being careful. We see in the Song of Solomon here, the woman is encountered by the watchman. And so the watchman, seeing this woman out at night, would have been thinking, okay, there's something strange going on here. You need to go back home. And that's what she says at the end of this first section. I adjure you, O daughters of Jerusalem, do not stir up or awaken love until it pleases. And so be careful about love, because it can send people in all sorts of different directions. For those of us who have teenagers in our homes, or those of us who used to be teenagers, we know what this can be like when hormones are raging and things are getting out of control, and there's our children are on the phone all the time, and so on and so forth, and all sorts of different scary things nowadays. Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook is just kind of the tip of the iceberg, and so there's so many different ways that people can really lose themselves, really, and do dangerous things, say dangerous things, send dangerous pictures. This is an epidemic for our young people. Because they want to be loved. They want to be loved by somebody else. They want to show their love for someone else, and so they do all sorts of inappropriate things. And so a text like this can help us talk with our young people about what is what is healthy sexuality? What are healthy ways to display love and affection for someone that we really care about? Certainly boyfriends or girlfriends, but just, it's good just to tell our kids don't date till they're 25 or 30. That'll save themselves a lot of trouble. Of course, teenagers don't like to listen to their parents anyways, but having those discussions about those feelings, those emotions, those powerful emotions, especially with love and affection. That's why later in the Song of Solomon, in chapter 8, he will write about love being likened to a raging fire that will burn, that is unquenchable. And so there's something very dangerous about love, which we don't need, which is why we don't want to awaken it until it pleases, until the right time. And the right time for love is, well, when we come across that person whom our soul loves and can't be without, and we are engaged and about to be married to them and are married to them, and let our love flourish in the confines of the safety of marriage. And so this passage can help us think about those things and talk about those things with especially our young people, who will do all sorts of strange things and dangerous things, sinful things for those who they love or think that they love and care about. The second part of the text is a public ceremony. Here's a parade, Solomon coming in, entering in, and there's a carriage, there's men of war, there's swords. We just had the 4th of July, so we know what parades are like. And so this passage can get us to think, can get us to think a little bit about the public institution of marriage. How are marriages celebrated out in the public? How do we lead as pastors marriage ceremonies, the rite of marriage, so that it's soaked in Scripture, that it's soaked with the gospel, so that it's soaked with the law, so that people know what does God expect in the confines of marriage for safe and healthy sexuality, for what husbands' roles are, for what wives' roles are, for what the role of, if God willing, they have children. How can they raise these God-fearing, God-loving children? And so the public institution of marriage is very, very important because it's under assault. It's been under assault for a long, long time. As many of us know, especially in the church, fewer and fewer weddings are happening in the church. They're happening at farms. They're happening out in the country, in the woods, and so on and so forth. And so how do we think about the public display of the marriage ceremony itself? Is it a bad thing? I mean, certainly we have to preach the gospel. I've done weddings off-site and in churches. But is it a bad thing? Is it a good thing? And so how we celebrate marriages, I think, are just as important as the marriage itself, because how we celebrate marriages publicly confesses something about what we believe about marriage, but also what we believe about the God who instituted marriage for the blessing of the world, for the blessing certainly of husband and wife, but ultimately for the blessing of the world, that the marriage is meant to bless other people, not just the couple. So just a few things, thoughts and considerations on here about marriage, about Song of Solomon, and so we'll dive more into this again next week. So let this whet your appetite as you continue to read and go through the Song of Solomon and all of its passion, all of its emotion, all the affections that are going up and down and taking us for a roller coaster ride. May God be with you this day and always. God bless and take care. Bye.